This is Nathan Bowman with Draper Inc. We've set up our internal sun sensor, our wind speed sensor. Now it's time for us to configure our external brightness sensor. This again is going to by default plug into one of the bottom two ports on the SSI. However, if you need more than two, we do have RJ45 adapters to allow you to wire into the top of the SSI. Please note, anytime that you're using external sensors, we do recommend you include the transformer for the SSI to ensure that proper power is being supplied for the sensors. Okay, we have our external brightness sensor. I'm going to go ahead and plug this into sensor port 4. All right, we're plugged in. Now I need to configure this sensor. So I'm back at my main screen. As you can see, sensor 1 is set up as internal, sensor 3 is set up as wind speed sensor, sensor 2 and 4 are not set up, so now we're going to configure sensor 4 now. So we're going to hit enter, come to our configuration screen, and select sensors. From here, I'm going to navigate down to my sensor 4 port and hit enter. Very similarly to the wind speed sensor, this external brightness sensor will not configure itself, so we have to manually configure it. To do so, we will come to the model and select the part number. This particular sensor is C156.280. I'm going to hit enter and then just navigate until I find the part number that I need to use. Perfect, there it is, hit enter. All right, so by the part number, it determines that this is a sun sensor, so it's already named it Sun 2 because our internal sensor was Sun 1. If you want to change that name, simply navigate down to the name, hit enter, and you can change the numerical value for this sensor. I'm going to leave this as Sun 2. Now we can set up our parameters. So we're going to navigate down to parameters and hit enter. The parameters that you can set up are going to be the same as the internal sun sensor, but we will go ahead and run through those. Auto control is the default parameter that is set up. That is going to move the shades based off of sun intensity. If the threshold is exceeded, the shades will deploy. If the threshold is not exceeded, the shades will retract. So that is auto control. If I want to change that, I select it and hit enter, and then I can use my up and down buttons to navigate through the various control methods. Privacy just means that once the threshold is set, the shades would deploy, they would not go back up. Override open just means that once the threshold is exceeded, the shades would retract. Override tilt, again, would be used for Venetian blinds or louvers. Range control, again, where you can set up a specific range for the shades to respond to. Preset control, you can have the shades go to specific presets based on sun intensity. Override closed means that the sun intensity would cause the shades to deploy and they would not retract. It would be, you would have to rely on a wall switch or some other external control to move the shades. And then we're back to auto control. This is what we want to use, so we're going to leave it here. The threshold by default sets to 40K lux or 40,000 lux. Again, I typically leave this at the default, and I will make adjustments based on owner response after initial install. So 40K lux, however, if you want to change that, you simply navigate down to it, press enter to highlight it, and again, you can change it in individual numerical levels down to the 10th of a lux if you would like. So hit enter, go all the way through. Then we're going to navigate down to the cloud delay, which is set up for 900 seconds. Again, 15 minutes. Anytime that the threshold is not exceeded, to keep the shades from constantly going up and down, that time threshold has to be met for the shades to retract. Inversely to that, we have the sunny delay, again set to 5 seconds, because once the threshold is met or exceeded, we want the movement to be more instantaneous, so sun is not blasting into the opening, so we leave that threshold set at 5 seconds. Our parameters are set up, so now we can hit back to go back to the sensor menu. Now I need to set up my group. We set up the motor in group 1, 2, and 4. We've used group 1 and 2, so we're going to go ahead and put this into group 4. Please note, all of these sensors and motors can be part of the same group if you want. I'm simply putting them into different groups for instructional purposes. So we're going to navigate down to master group and hit enter. We can select from master, custom, again, which is the add skip method as these shades jog, or global groups, which is what we have already configured from our motor limit tool. I'm going to navigate down to global group 4 and hit enter. It's going to save this information. And now my sensor is configured. I can back out. I can go all the way back to the main screen, and I can begin to take readings. I can see just from the ambient lighting in this room that we are getting readings on our sun sensor, so I can confirm that it is wired up correctly. Thanks for watching. If you have any more questions or concerns, please contact Draper Technical Support at 1-800-238-7999 and select option 3.